You alright? YorkshireASMR here. It's been a while since I made a video, I know. But I thought Citizen Sleeper might be a good game to cover on my channel. Not least because it says Sleeper in the name. I was pressing the wrong button. There we go. So Citizen Sleeper is a narrative choose-your-own-adventure game. If you've ever played games like Sorcery by Steve Jackson, or the Lone Wolf series, or many others, it's very reminiscent of thumbing through a book, turning to page 32 to resolve the decision you made. And in this game, which, as you can probably guess by looking at the background, takes place in the future and in space. And we, the titular character, the Sleeper, are a android concept. Our consciousness has been copied from a real, living, breathing human, copied and pasted inside this I don't know if it's truly biotic material, but inside a shell, a husk. And these sleepers, as they're called, it's the cheap AI. Why design AI if you can just use someone's consciousness? But it grapples with the question of what is it to have a soul, to exist and to think for oneself. And so, much like other RPGs, we have skills, we have actions, we can level up. So let's dive into it. So we've woken up, we're disconnected from ourselves somehow. We've started feeling odd, thinking back to our prior body before we became a sleeper. It's a strange sensation to have maybe memories of a body, of feelings, of a life that isn't truly yours. Maybe it's best to forget. Pointless to touch that nostalgia. We're moving forwards, not moving backwards. Forwards now in a small, cold cell of sorts. We're in a container. We're cramped. We can't stretch. And we're fighting the claustrophobia. We don't experience pain. Not like we used to. But painful it still could be. Pain is different now. A warning. A digital notification. And we're ignoring all those pings. And we're thinking about the plan. Not a great plan, but a plan nonetheless. We needed to escape. Get on the freighter. Get out. Keep moving forward. A few of us tried. Few of us tried, but as far as we know, we could be the only ones. We're restless. Restless and wishing for sleep. We've already spent a lot of time asleep, but better to be asleep and ignore the pain than to sit through it. It is time to sleep again, to nudge this false body into inducing delta waves in your emulated mind, and once again recoil into a dream of when you were once a person. Time's passed now, and we're feeling something. Warmth, heat somewhere. Sound now, too. And light. And a figure appears, freeing us from our cell. So here we are in some new home, far from what we once knew. We only have one option to select here. We're talking to a individual called Dragos. He freed us from our container, gave us a mylar blanket, and we're rejoining the world of the conscious. He lives in a scrapyard. Salvager, clear as day. I guess the question is, should I do voices for this video? I'll give it a go. So, sleeper, you all thawed yet? We'll say nothing. Oh wow, that's a lot of text. Maybe I shouldn't do voices. He's seen a lot of our kind come through, but we are lucky to have persevered. He's a drone operator. He's got a little parrot of a drone perched on his shoulder, an irising eye looking at us with an unflinching stare. Last living sleeper that came through this yard was a while ago. They didn't last long. We struggled to read his expression. He is a drone operator after all. I guess you lose a lot of expressions without eyes and your brows. I plan to survive. So here we got some more backstory. We sold ourselves to a corporation. Did we sell ourselves, or did the other us sell ourselves? We are just software, a rogue emulation, illegally possessing corporate property. So not quite an AI, not quite a person, but either way we're on the lam. We remember parts of our old life, things we know, but not things we feel. We're a copy. But our body's falling apart. is what he's telling us. Corporation protects their property, and if you slip away, well, you won't last long. Planned obsolescence, built-in dependencies, quiet, regular administration of supplements. Without them, this artificial body shuts down. How long do we have? We're lucky for now, though. One day at a time, moving forward. We are on the Eye. And Dragos, I guess, is our rescuer. Rescuer? We're tired, but he has scrap to get sorted. Dragos returns to his work, and we are loosed onto the game. So this game runs in cycles, and during these cycles we perform actions, and at the end of each cycle we need to rest. Resting moves time forward, and time is measured in the cycle. So, at the beginning of the game, we don't have much to contend with in terms of locations, but we just got here. So right now we have one objective: sleep in our container. This container is our home for now. It's cold. It is not comfortable. But what matters is building a new life. One step at a time. Dragos has been kind enough to give us a few little bits and bobs. Strange images are plaguing us. Visceral memories? Or maybe visions. Either way, breakfast is done and we start the first day. So in this game we have our condition bar at the very top, which represents our decaying body. It depletes every cycle, but it can get damaged. And if it empties, we suffer a breakdown, which obviously we need to avoid. Without the corporate pharmaceuticals, we need to find alternatives. But the level of our condition dictates the amount of dice we get. So imagine like a tabletop game. You roll some d6s, and the values they come up with can dictate what we're able to do each day. So the higher our condition, the more dice we roll. And last but not least, we might not be human, but we still need to eat. We require energy. And if our energy becomes empty, we will starve. And starving reduces condition. So, kind of a death spiral. let's leave our container. Dragos wants to have a word. How are we feeling? We're feeling okay. Well enough to work? Yeah. He did save us. Here he hacks old holes down, sells them off to names of places we don't know yet. And sometimes he finds valuable tech, but usually it's scrap. And he'll pay us chits of commission, whatever that means. He needs the help. We're happy to. He helped us. Come down to the yard when we're feeling fresher. There's plenty to do. Time to get to work. Now I know I said I'd do voices, but in all honesty, there's too much. So here is the only area we have accessible right now. And as you can see, there are ships moored in the berthings, floating around. All along this ring, the eye, there is movement indicative of how populated this thing is. In game terms, here we have our first location. So there's a lot going on the screen, a lot. But basically what it's saying is that you can input dice for types of actions, and the outcome of those dice can give you different, changes. So a higher dice is more likely to give you positive outcomes, whereas low dice, you're mixing it up with neutral or even negative actions. And each action has either a critical, which means it can be performed once, or repeatable, I guess for verbiage. Alongside that, they have an adjective of how risky they could be. So obviously the higher the risk, the more likely that negative and neutral outcomes affect you in worse ways. And there are skills. So if you remember the skill breakdown, your skills can affect the positive or negative attributions against the dice you pop in. So if you have a +1 and you pop in a 5 dice, it'll be worth a 6. So here in Dragos' shipyard, we have 2 things we can do. We can do some hull dissection, which requires the engineer skill. We can manually do some salvage. We're no stranger to hard labor because we have a +1 to endure. Now, let's look at our character. We can sunbathe as we have photosynthetic skin. But alas, we have a -1 to intuition. We're not very aware. But as we play, we'll get more upgrade points. So for now, we'll probably do salvage. But here in the middle, we have 2 clocks. Clocks being something you might be familiar with if you play RPGs. Notably in Powered by the Apocalypse games, and quite infamous in Blades in the Dark and its child series, Forged in the Dark. Clocks are a good way of showing progression to players in a very simple format for the game master to interact with. So we have a cycle clock here, which is something we can't affect. We see the little negative symbol there, which means that if it fills, something bad might happen. And because it's a cycle clock, the way it progresses is not through us doing anything, but just through time. A debt called in. Dragos is tied up in something ugly, and if he misses a payment or two, things could get nasty. But below that is a positive clock, which we can affect. Back in business, every salvager knows they are always just one lucky haul away from their next payday. Let's give him a hand and use this 5 dice with a +1 for a 100% positive chance. So actions progress your clocks, and they fill when we do positive things. Well, in this case it's a positive clock, but some clocks can fill with negative things. And we got some cryo. Cryo been shown down here. It's a cryptocurrency stored in air-water sticks of memory known as chips. So we've used that 1 die, but by doing so we found a drive. Now drives are like objectives, like quests. You can track the drive to be able to see better where it could be on the map, because we have 2 here. Repay him, survive, to find a doctor. So we've worked a little bit in the yard today, so let's go look to maybe find what we could see about finding a doctor. We've unlocked some new nodes. So we have here one of the docks, and you can see it's a positive cycle clock where, as it fills with each cycle, merchants might pop through. And over here, another dock. Salvage sorting. We have some scavengers heading out and returning with scrap. But alas, none are there yet. And here, the rotunda. We could explore it, but unfortunately, we are not very intuitive. Or we could engage with danger and try and steal some of the security plans. So here we're seeing some more names of the law. This game kind of drip feeds you the saying. I won't say too much to spoil it in case you're watching and you feel interested enough in buying this game. I would recommend it if this seems like your forte. We're over here, the bright market. Ask for directions or explore. Oof, we have some pretty low dice. So let's give it a go. Excuse me, could you tell me which way to go? Ah. You are led into a blind alley and jump from behind. By the time you get to your feet, both the thugs and the chits are gone. Oh dear. Was that a critical action? Yeah, it was. So we failed that one-time action and got jumped. Our day's pay is gone. But here at home, we could sunbathe, gather some energy. This way might subside one more day. And in the bright market, oh, it's already pretty low. Let's look around. We follow the flow of people, and we start to appreciate, maybe even enjoy, their chaotic layout of the markets. And when you look at that, we have uncovered something. There's a open apartment door. We're queuing. And we had a tip-off that a doctor operated out of this place. But there's a gang enforcer at the door. And the decay in her block is making us uneasy. Unfortunately, we do not have many options. At the front of the queue, we'll size up the enforcer. He has mirror-like implants below his eyes, like mercury teardrops. Cybernetics or aesthetic markers? Not sure. And he has a geometric tattoo of a blade on his arm. Potentially a gang symbol. And here we're called into a warm room that overlooks the entirety of the market. The figure calls us to sit. They seem surprised, maybe confused to see a sleeper. But they regain their composure and return to professionalism. And proceed to give us a cranial nerve exam. All the while we're curious about the look on their face when they saw us. How long have we been on the station? A few cycles. It's good that we came to Sabine. They're going to start by assuming we don't know anything. Very fitting, given that this is only the second character we've interacted with. Our body is dying. SNARP doesn't like to see his proprietary technology let loose to prevent bodies like yours, frames, as they call them, from being stolen, repurposed, or, in our case, escaping. That ding-dang dastardly planned obsolescence. Frames decay rapidly, not regularly injected with stabilizer, which, conveniently, SNARP is the sole producer of. Does this sound familiar? How do you know this, Sabine? They shift in their seat. We are not the first sleeper that they've come across. Sabine seems apologetic. We sleepers aren't people. We have no rights, no status. SNARP has no reason to release stabilizer into the market. Silence fills the room. Sabine suddenly offers to help, but they make this offer with a degree of fatigue and sadness. The enforcer outside, Tashiro, works for Sabine's benefactor, Yatagan, which is not unexpected. They're influential in the low end, this gang. They've given Sabine the space to work. They also take the profits. Sounds like Sabine is a prisoner just like us. Maybe through this gang, some stabilizer could be smuggled to us. Thank you. Let's just see if this works first. Back out in night market. Night market? Bright market. We try and spot the window from down below. But we do not see Sabine's face. So, as you can see there, the flow was, we entered this node, the bright market. We interacted with this to gain some local knowledge. Gaining this local knowledge unlocked a new node. The game is much like this, of finding nodes, interacting with them, and repeating. So here, this new node, another cycle track. In 3 cycles, Sabine might get back in touch. But we are out of dice and tired. So, time to end today's cycle. This time, we don't wake up. Instead, the ghost of the station, that shifting skeletal ring, surrounds you. For a moment, you are gone, absent from your own body, stretched out across a colorless void. Then the connections begin to establish themselves, threads tugging on the edge of your mind. These threads become vectors of exchange and then extensions, as you feel your thoughts slipping away down them, dissolving into the millions of distributed nodes they connect to. You see the station. No, you feel the station, like a web of texture in a smooth black liquid. Let's touch it. You find a point in the station and you connect to it, pulse through it, follow loops and paths under and around it. You touch more points than you have fingers, and then you try, in a moment of impulsiveness, to connect them. The flow passes through you so rapidly that you feel yourself being carried with it, splitting and separating, eddying and gathering. As you do, things occur to you, things that you can't possibly know. You reach out, try to grasp them, try to touch them too. You notice a tugging feeling pulling at you insistently, as if it were a small child. Somehow it is pulling in two directions at once. You look down. All of a sudden, everything shuts off. You come back trembling into this unfamiliar body, both yours and not yours, all at once. You find yourself standing in the container, eyes now open to the dark steel walls. You feel a change within you, a shift. You close your eyes for a second, and you feel it waiting there, the station splayed out across your mind, a storm of connective nodes waiting to be explored, and then it is gone. That was strange, wasn't it? Well, that is another layer to the game that has yet to be fully divulged, but I will offer a spoiler. You might have noticed that the rolling of the dice at the beginning of the day, which to date went pretty well, can be punishing if you roll very low. This new layer, when it opens to us, this connection we have to the intranet of the eye, for lack of a better phrasing, it will offer other ways to spend those low die and still feel like you're progressing. So here on the salvage, we'll use a 4, which becomes a 5, which means we're back in business, baby. We've helped Dragos for the day. Let's check out the shipyard. So here we have 2 ways to get to know the shipyard by working here. We can assist the shipbuilder, or we can put our strengths to good use. Grab a load of materials and ask a yard hand where to take them. Let's give it a go. We gain some energy because we do well, and when their shift is up, a couple of hands invite you to share a ration pack and some of their well-worn advice. Nice. We got some food for our efforts. What about in the bright market? We're not very intuitive, so let's use our 6, which becomes a 5, and just walk around. We had a very good outcome. We filled the bar. We have a new drive shown to us. Build a ship mind. You've heard talk of a fabricator, owned by the Ort Exchange. With that and a few fragments, you could build a ship mind core. Interesting, but we have opened up a new node, Memphis, the street food vendor. Look how cool he looks. Memphis is busy. He is cooking delicately and precisely, using fungus, marinated. This sounds delicious. He fulfills a set of orders, heaping the fungus with the bright salad and depositing it in the plastic trays. A stack of chits rattles in his apron pocket as customers file past the burner, handing over payment. Despite the queue, Emphasis doesn't rush. He dresses each portion individually, squeezing precise slugs of liquid from an assortment of bottles into the bowl of torn leaves and bright slices before tossing them loosely together. Occasionally, a waiting customer might mutter something about efficiency, but Emphasis remains steady in his process. After a while, the queue fades back into the crowd, and Emphasis sets down his metal bowl and looks up across the burner to see you watching him. I know I said no voices, but I did one voice, and I did not do any more voices, so maybe I should do a voice? At least have 2 voices. I don't know of a good voice to pick for him, and I've already forgotten the voice I used for Dragos. I can feel your eyes burning a hole in my bowl. Free sample? I nod. I'm hungry. He gestures neatly. Come over. The smell is almost unbearably strong as he cooks. The earthiness of the fungus laced with something so spicy, the smoke makes your eyes water. The heat from the burner is like a bonfire, and your skin hardens in its glare. I know you sleepers, Emphasis says while he cooks, his voice deep but clear. I'm glad I picked a deep voice. A hard life, a lot of stories. He glances up from beneath his cap with piercing eyes. I know. Tell him a story. You begin to tell him about your journey to the eye, and he nods as he cooks, his eyes never leaving his work. You tell him of the confusion, the pain, but also the sense of possibility and its sudden arrival. You tell him of the cold and dark of the container, and the endless cycles spent within it. Now it seems, you tell him, like some dream that you once had but can never forget. You tell him that the eye excites you and scares you, that you're unsure where to walk, where to look, what to do. Eventually you tail off, running out of words. I think we left out the part where we got mugged. He places a plastic tray of steaming fungus in your hand. Next time, we can talk some more, he smiles. But next time, you pay. He slams a heavy hand against a button on the burner side and it shuts off. The roar of the flame and its impressive heat fades. Next time then, sleeper. He waves you away and begins to oil the wok. Before you turn back to the alley, you notice the geometric patterns of circular scars across his forearms, each surrounded with a constellation of glinting pin marks. You walk away, and as you do, you take a bite of the rich, spicy, delicately sweet fungus. Your taste sensors light up like a fusion reactor. You'll be back. So as you can see, our hunger bar got filled as we got a delicious serving of Emphasis fungus. And in future, if we have 15 cryo, we could order some more. But another cycle is due to end as we have run out of dice. And alas, things we can do. Again, the skeletal ring of the station fills our mind. You see more threads, more shapes, the nodes and connections. So many layers and loops. We'll focus on the nodes. Here in this other vision, many answers, many questions. we see two threads, one pulling us deep into the station, and on the other end of the thread there is a sphere. Its pulse shoots and passes over us, testing and tasting us. But another thread leads back out of the station into the inky black. We're being tracked, being hunted, and that ship is coming ever closer with each cycle. Time is short. And here a new clock has been given to us. Hunted. Someone out there is tracking you, following our trail. Won't be long before they arrive. But now we can access the other layer I mentioned. The data. The data cloud. The data cloud is this other view with new nodes. But here you can see these key nodes it requires are 1. So data actions can allow us to extract data from networks. It works like dice actions, but in order to unlock them you must match your dice to the one displayed. And if we have a better interface skill, we can get more possible dice to match. So, like I said, if you roll poorly, it doesn't mean you're locked out from doing things. There is always more ways to spend your dice. But that is the core gist of Citizen Sleeper. Very much like I said, a choose your own adventure book. Follow the threads, the drives, the paths that you're interested in. And you're limited only by your dice each day. And with this aspect of survival, of being hunted, there is always another story around the corner. I found a few different ways that the game can end, and I know that there are new stories added that I haven't yet explored. So if this seems like a game for you, then I would definitely recommend giving it a go. And if you've just enjoyed me playing it, maybe I'll do some more. I know this was a bit disjointed in that I didn't always consistently read. I just know there's a lot of text, and I could be here forever, if so. But from a RPG perspective, I think this game does a great job of world building and making people feel real in terms of their actions and personalities. To say that they are just 2D pieces of art with lengthy blocks of text. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall try to keep a shorter amount of time between this one releasing and my next one. So I shall wish you a good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you might be in the world. Ta-ta for now.